Hola, cage fighting connoisseurs. This is KidNativeBloodyElbow.com, joined by Eddie Mercado for the UFC 210 Cormier versus Johnson 2 6-round post-fight show. Oh my bejesus, what a weird card that was. The hocus and the pocus were in Buffalo, New York tonight, jinxing the UFC. It flirted with greatness, but there was something janky about this card. Eddie, what the fuck? What happened here?
I think it might have started from the initial boos. Like Buffalo was just in the booing mood tonight. I mean, from the first card on.
Well, they're very
Maybe
close to Canada, in these times of international tension, they're probably afraid for their lives. Canadian invasion sweeping across the border. I don't know what the fuck. What was wrong with those people? Booing Daniel Cormier after that win. And then Anthony Johnson retiring. So, yeah, quick results. Daniel Cormier retains his belt, submits Anthony Johnson in the second round, rear naked choke, 3 minutes, 37 seconds. The biggest shocker, though, was Johnson announcing his retirement immediately post-fight. Well, I mean, does that say everything about the kind of money the UFC is not paying fighters these days, or what?
it's either that or he has something super personal going on that is like,
I mean,
the
his
focal point.
explanation was he already took a different job, and like hitting people and stuff sucks. And I could see that. Yeah, he's 33. He's wrestling around on the ground and hitting people. That does suck. But if you're getting paid enough, I mean, if they were getting anything close to boxing money or NBA money, he would not be moving on.
That's definitely true. And he's in his prime. Like he
Yes.
is in his
Oh,
prime.
yes. His
And
spot IQ is not, but I don't know that it's ever going to get any better. I mean, what was he doing going for takedowns against Cormier?
I don't even know. That threw me completely off. Rumble shooting in like right away. Like he missed two shots and instantly, tried to take Cormier down. I mean, he actually got him down, which was surprising in and of itself.
If he
But
had
for the
stopped there, he would have established the takedown threat in Cormier's head, and it would have opened up his striking. But he just kept doing it and kept doing it to the point where Cormier flips him on the cage. Cormier gets him on the ground, gets his back, chokes him out, and that was a fairly quick tap. I mean, not that I wouldn't tap in seconds if Cormier had his arm around my throat, but at this level, I felt that was a fairly quick tap.
Yeah, it was definitely just weird. Like it made no sense. Like everyone thought he was going to come out and just let his hands go and just really put it on DC, but
And when he did kick him, I mean, he connected and he hurt him. I mean, basically every time he touched DC, it was hurtful. And DC did not look like he was, he did not look like full DC in effect. He looked a little shaky.
I think Christmas came early for Daniel Cormier.
I think you might be right, because I think he was really it looked at various points like he was going to get knocked around the ring, and so, or the cage. I mean, it's just, and then, but really we haven't even gotten to the co-main event. Gegard Mousasi beats Chris Weidman TKO from knees, second round, 3 minutes 13 seconds. But that doesn't tell the story, because what happened was Dan Miragliotta stopped the fight thinking it was an illegal knee when it was a legal knee because of the new rule where if you have one hand down, knee away. If you have two hands down, you can't knee. Obviously a stupid rule, and it's going to be even more prone to gaming than the old put one hand down thing. Like, I mean, basically, I think you need to have knees on the ground to be considered grounded.
You see,
Like,
what had happened was it's just
yeah.
honestly, this is growing pains. We have new rules in place. There's going to be weird situations where these referees who have been trained to, officiate a specific sort of way, for X amount of years, and then all of a sudden the rules are changing
And they
and
have no video backup.
no replay. I mean, he's standing 10 feet away. It's hard to see. And even if there is replay, I mean, how would that work in this situation?
Yeah,
I mean,
I
do you
mean, once he
stop the
stopped the
fight?
fight
Yeah.
for a legal blow, essentially the right move there is to start it back up again immediately. Because the doctor didn't say Weidman's too hurt to continue, did
Well,
he?
he might have said that when Weidman may have thought that it was illegal, and if he said he couldn't continue, then it's a no
Yeah.
contest.
Well, that would be on Weidman for trying to milk it. But at the same time, if you think you took an illegal knee to the head, by all means, you've got every right. But it was visibly a legal knee. and it was shaping up to be a really good fight. Musasi definitely was having the edge. I mean, that guy is a cobra right now, just death strikes coming out of that kid. But yeah, it given everything, the Cormier weigh-in fiasco, the whole putting his weight on the towel, and I saw people saying, "Oh, you've never cut weight if you think somebody can be trying to Jimmy crack around while he's undergoing the agony of weight cut." Give me a break. People like Cormier have been gaming it for years. This guy could be literally dying, and I think he could game a weigh in. I mean, I think he could fill Daniel Cormier with like 15, 22 caliber bullets, and he could still jack with your weigh in.
Yeah, he's definitely a veteran. Especially, I mean, he's been wrestling since how old?
Yeah.
Probably like out of the womb. So
And his wrestling career ended because of a weight making fiasco at the 2008 Olympics in Beijing. I mean, Cormier and weigh-ins, and this is another thing with the growing pains. They tried to move the weigh-ins to the morning, Friday morning instead of Friday evening to give fighters more time to get their fluid back, and it's just resulted in more and more fighters missing weight. I mean, just fiascos. And then we get down to the third fight on the card, women's strawweight, Cynthia Calvillo versus Pearl Gonzalez. Calvillo wins submission rear naked choke, third round, 3 minutes 45 seconds. That fight was also jinked with fiasco over the breast implants. They nearly took Gonzalez out of the fight yesterday because of breast implants, but then realized, oh, we've let women fighters fight with breast implants before. Guess she's back in. I mean, what the heck was that about?
honestly, it's more growing pains. MMA is new
Like
to New York,
D
so
cup growing pains. I mean,
this is man. I believe they will get their shit together, New
I
York.
hope so, because sometimes it feels more like the wheels falling off than growing pains. Like when my 2003 Avalon starts jacking like this, I don't go, "Oh, the Avalon's having growing pains." No, you go, "It's time for a new car." I mean, yeah, this sport, yeah, yeah. But let's talk a little
Reform,
bit more about
reform
Cormier.
is needed. Reform is definitely needed. From
Yeah, something
tooth
is needed.
reviews to breast implant allowances, like it
Yeah,
needs some help.
yeah, and on top of the news of Kelvin Gastelum failing for in contest marijuana use against Vitor Belfort, and that apparently scotches the Gastelum Anderson Silva fight for UFC 212. It's just like the UFC has been snake bit, and it's just getting worse. And this was a very snake bit card. I mean, the Cormier thing, Rumble Johnson retiring right after. First, Rumble Johnson fights a really inexplicably weird fight. Then he retires. Then Cormier starts trash talking after the fight. I'm like, good, he's building up the John Jones fight. Now he's talking to Jimmy Manuwa. What the? Nobody
But
cares about Cormier versus Jimmy Manuwa. I
and you know
mean,
what's funny about that? No one cares about that fight, and that's exactly what Cormier said in the octagon.
yeah,
He said,
yep,
Jimmy,
yep.
I love Corey Anderson, but you just beat Corey Anderson. Sit down. Valid
Exactly.
point. Valid point.
A very valid point. I mean, yeah, I don't know how we got to this situation. Actually, I do. I've been watching the whole clusterfuck just develop uh, year after year. And here we are now where the light heavyweight title, formerly the marquee title in the sport. I mean, this is the belt of Chuck Liddell, of John Jones, and now it's not even expected to be a big time pay-per-view, you
Think
know?
about this. Come next week, the top 5, top 10 UFC light heavyweights will not have Anthony Rumble Johnson or John Jones. Think about that.
I know, man. I mean, and that at that point, it really does come down to Jimmy Manuwa. I mean, it's you got Gustafson, but I don't think anybody's jonesing to see Gustafson versus Cormier again. Glover
You
Teixeira.
wouldn't want to see that again? I would. That was an amazing fight. Their
I
first
mean,
fight was incredible.
yeah, but there's no buzz for that. I mean,
Hardcore
I would want to
fans,
see it,
though.
but I'll watch two bums fight in a parking lot. Like I'm an addict here. This is not, Glover Teixeira. There's no, Shogun Hua is ranked number 5. Like, and Volkan Esdemir is ranked number 6. Has somebody hacked the UFC.com rankings page? Like, this is just, and even he's
He's
overboard.
13-1, man.
Yeah, I mean, the kid's hot, but he's not. I mean, to me, he should be breaking into the top 15, not shooting up with the bullet to number 6, and Shogun's still in the top 5. Oh my God.
But when you beat OSP, who's number 8, I mean, where else is there
Yeah,
to
I know. I
go?
mean, I know how every little move makes sense, but the aggregate outcome is crazy town. And then you get, Musasi and Weidman, and I mean, Musasi's on the upswing. So in the end, the Musasi Weidman fight, as jacked as it was, and what we were really deprived of, is probably another minute and a half of Musasi beating on Weidman. I mean,
I'm okay not watching Wyman take any more punishment. I feel like
Musasi was going to win, right? I mean, it was clear.
for sure. Like
Yeah,
he was, Weidman was pretty much dead to rights. Like he was
yeah,
in a really bad position, just eating knees, and it was only going to get worse.
yeah.
But I mean, I'm not even going to say that Musasi looked exceptionally great. I mean,
But he looked like new edition Killer Musasi. He was maybe
but
trying a little too hard, but that's better than old Musasi just laying back too much, you know?
yeah,
And,
he was a little just extra flinchy in that first round. Like he looked
yeah,
real awkward and un-Musasi like.
but the gears began to click into place, and at some point he hit Weidman so hard he curled his hair.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, let's look at the tape. And there's a before and after, and it's a punch, and then Weidman looks up and his hair has curled. Musasi was, I mean, Weidman fought a decent fight. He landed some shots and was in it, but Musasi just hits a lot sharper and a lot harder. I think Musasi hits sharper than anybody in the division right now, sharper than anybody in the division since Anderson Silva at his peak or Vitor Belfort at his peak. But right now, Musasi's got, I think, the most deadly strikes in
Well,
the
I think what Masasi learned is that he's so technical with his striking that he can afford to add a little more oomph and lose some of the technicality to his striking, and it's still going to be enough to get the job done. Like he'll still be defensively okay, but his strikes will land so much harder, and he's
Yeah,
really capitalizing on that. Even
and
if he's starting to look a little, a
he's
little
added the killer
forced.
instinct. I mean, he throws, he adds more and more strikes to his combos the more hurt the guy is, you know. Whereas he
And he's
used
down
to,
to talk shit now, which is awesome.
yes, and so, but now we've got a situation where we've got the champion of the division, Michael Bisping, is going to fight George St. Pierre. What? Huh? Like, I mean, I'm for it. That's the money fight, but it's very unfair to Yoel Romero, Luke Rockhold, Gegard Mousasi, Jacare Souza to be sitting on the shelf because of some effing welterweight who comes out of retirement to, fight Bisping, who already really honestly fluked his way into the title. I mean, he beat Rockhold fair and square, performance of a lifetime, but does anybody think Bisping's going to beat Yoel Romero? Does anybody think Bisping is going to beat Jacare? Bisping beat Mousasi? I mean, and in a rematch, I'd pick Rockhold. Like,
Yeah, you're not picking Bisping over anybody, really.
no,
Anybody in the top 5, you really can't. And
no.
I'm not even convinced I'd pick him over GSP, to be honest.
We don't know what we don't. It's been so long since we've seen GSP. We have no idea what he's going to be like as a middleweight in 2017. But nonetheless, big performance from Gegard Mousasi. He did what he needed to do. He beat the number 4 fighter. Sets up a fight down the road. I'm not sure. I mean, things are set.
They'll rematch it. They're going to run that one back.
You think they will?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it was a fun fight, but I think the outcome will be the same. I think it's a moot point. But let's run through the rest of the card. And so we had Cynthia Calvillo beat Pearl Gonzalez. The fight itself, other than the breast implants, some pretty good grappling in there.
Yeah, Calvillo, man, she is fun to watch on the ground. She is really educated.
Yes.
She is a scrambler, and it's a joy to watch. I'm a little concerned with her striking, though. I don't think she's particularly powerful, and I think as she starts to move up at 115, she's going to find that the top 5 is just full of just crazy strikers. So,
yeah, I mean, Andrade, and then you get to Jonah Champion. I mean, that's
Kovacevic.
Yeah.
Even Alma Yunus is really coming into her striking.
It's true. It's true. So yeah, I think there's a ceiling on Calvillo in that division, but we'll see. And for Pearl Gonzalez, disappointing loss, but I don't think it's derailing her career or anything.
No, I think she did enough to be competitive in the fight. But she was really defensive though throughout.
Yeah, she was definitely Calvillo had her off balance the whole fight. And then in the senior division, you had welterweight Thiago Alves beat Patrick Cote, unanimous decision 30-27 all across the board. This fight could have happened 10 years ago. I feel like it would have been basically the same fight.
It probably would have been. Well, I don't know. I think Cote's chin has decreased over the years. I
True,
think
true.
he would have been able to take the punches a lot better.
Yeah, but Alves would have been throwing more leg kicks 10 years ago. But otherwise, yeah.
True. But actually, I don't even think Alves would have been in the same weight class back then.
Well, he fought GSP for the title. It's just he was cutting a lot more weight. He just
Yeah, he
looked like
was.
he was in a
And
different weight
Cote
class.
fought Tito at fucking
Yeah,
205.
it's true. And Cote fought as a middleweight. I mean, he fought Anderson Silva as a middleweight.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
And he
yeah,
retired tonight.
he did, but that was overshadowed by Rumble Johnson. But yeah, and a heck of a career for Cote. Like I was saying, he came in, like you were saying, he came in at UFC 50 as a short notice substitute for Guy Metzger, whose career ended because of a stroke he got from taking analgesics. And Cote started his UFC career fighting Tito Ortiz and gave him a surprisingly competitive fight, and then went on to have in and out of the UFC over the next several years, like back and forth. Three, four. I guess he had three different tenures in the UFC. This last run was his longest run, but I guess the biggest win of his UFC career. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I mean, at this point, who was the best guy he ever beat?
The best guy.
He beat Jason McDonald once upon a time. That was he lost to Chris Lieben. Lost. I mean, he
Ricardo Almeida. That's a pretty good win.
yeah, he beat Kendall Grove. He beat Caleb Starnes, the notorious Caleb Starnes. Yeah, Kyle Noak, Joe Riggs, Josh Berkman, B's own Ben Saunders. I mean, he's had a very respectable career, but other than flirting with the title a couple title shots, that's as close as he got. Thiago Alves,
I would call him an elite journeyman.
elite journeyman. That's a
Elite journeyman.
fair enough, fair enough. And then in the opener, lightweight, Charles Oliveira, returning from featherweight, beats former Bellator champ Will Brooks. First round submission, rear naked choke, 2 minutes 30 seconds, standing rear naked choke. I mean, Oliveira just put the kill on him.
Man, did he look good, and boy, did he need that.
He definitely needed it, and I think moving to lightweight is definitely the right course for that kid.
He looked healthy. It looked like he had a
Yes,
sandwich. He was actually like a person. He didn't look so sucked in and like Skeletor like. Like he actually looked like a real person out there, and it really paid dividends. Like
it did indeed.
nobody handles Will Brooks like that. So that
Yeah,
was
I mean,
insanely impressive.
and I think that's a classic stylistic thing where Brooks is your classic American wrestle boxer and Oliveira is your classic, jiu-jitsu Muay Thai guy. And in the rock paper scissors battle, the jiu-jitsu Muay Thai guys tend to have the edge over the wrestle boxers, and Brooks had no answer for Oliveira. Then on the Fox Sports 1 card, we had featherweight Miles Jury come back and beat Mike De La Torre. First round TKO, elbows and punches, 3 minutes 30 seconds. Jury coming back career wise because he dominated the fight all the way through.
Yeah, he looked. He fought a very smart fight. I mean, he came in and just handled business. Got the takedown right away. I mean, he looked good. The
He looked real
knock
sharp.
is he's terrible on the microphone. He's going to have to work on that.
The post fight speech was, I mean, they pretty much could have got any drunk out of the audience up there and say something more, apropos.
Yeah, it was uninspiring to say the least.
Yes, yes. And then you had welterweight Kamaru Usman, a decision. Sean Strickland, unanimous 30-27, 30-26, 30-26. Anything to say about that fight? I mean, it was a dominant performance from Usman, but not scintillating.
It was impressive in the fact that he dominated Strickland, and Strickland it's tough to dominate him.
Yeah.
So I like Usman. I think he's got a lot of potential, and I like that he called out Neil Magny. Let's get that popping.
And I like the way he called him out. I mean, the exact phrasing of that was very devastating, and so some flavor there from Usman. Then you had featherweight Shane Burgos beat Charles Rosa, TKO, third round, minute 59. Burgos, he kind of stalled there in the middle of the fight, but the kid's striking is sharp, and he looked deadly there at the end.
I don't want to say it, but it reminds me of Conor McGregor's boxing. Like they have a real similar kind of way they carry themselves with this like absolute confidence and the uppercuts and the combinations. Like it's It's special, man. It's really special.
It's
Like he's got the
very
power
sharp striking.
and he knows it.
Oh,
And he
he
throws
does.
combinations, which I love. And he can stay off his back. So I
Yep.
mean,
Yep.
there's
He
no problem.
struggled a little bit with Rose's kicking game, and he did just kind of take some time off in the middle of the fight.
Yeah, I actually had Rosa up on the cards going
Yeah.
into that third.
That was
So
a perfectly logical thing because he clearly won the second round, and so, but Burgos 9-0, very impressive win. Look forward to seeing him again. And yeah, the Conor McGregor comparison might be a bit much, but I think that's in the spirit of Conor McGregor. I mean,
just in the boxing, just in like just the way they kind of carry themselves and kind of walk down their opponents a bit.
so you expect Burgos probably to take the winner of the Mayweather fight then?
uh, maybe even the loser. Maybe
Yeah.
the loser of that one.
Maybe. All right. And then you had light heavyweight Patrick Cummins beat Jan Blachowicz, majority decision. Cummins speeding off in an ambulance after the fight, got his ass beat in the first round, but came back to really dominate in the second, especially the third. Just European guys can't wrestle. And if you can't wrestle, you better knock the wrestler out when you have him hurt.
I don't think it's that he can't wrestle as much as it's he just didn't have the gas tank to hold up. He really blew his wad in the first trying to finish Cummins.
Yep, yep. And an impressive performance from Cummins because he got the bejesus smacked out of him in the first round.
Not even impressive. You can't say it's impressive. It's like impressive that he can take such a beating and come back. He's
Yeah,
like
that's impressive.
but
Adversity
he's like the
overcome.
Darren Elkins at this weight. Where's this 205?
Yeah, this is at 205. The light heavyweight Darren Elkins. That's an apt comparison. Although Cummins' mustache game was way stronger than anything Elkins has ever shown us.
It's the reason he won this fight, in my opinion. The mustache pulled it
Could
through.
well be, and the mustache was looking great in the ambulance. The rest of his face was, all beat to hell, but the mustache was looking sharp. Then on the preliminary UFC Fight Pass card, I mean, lightweight Gregor Gillespie stole the show, knocked out Andrew Holberg 21 seconds in the first round, and talked some major shit. Gillespie, I think it's a little early to say he's the real deal, but I am definitely excited about seeing more of this kid.
Yeah, he seems fun. He seems full of life, good on the microphone, and he's pimping out his fishing side job he's got, side gig going on. So there's interest there. There's things to talk about with him, and he's knocking fools out. So
yeah, this is his first UFC knockout and his fourth career knockout and a couple submissions there too. So yeah, very impressive second UFC fight from Gregor Gillespie. You also had lightweight Desmond Green decision Josh Emmett. Not much to say about that one. Women's bantamweight Caitlin Chigukian beat Irene Aldana, split decision. That fight, I mean, I don't know. It was one of those fights technically wasn't so bad, but just the overall dynamic of it, I wasn't enjoying it.
You didn't enjoy that one? I thought it was all right. I thought it was competitive the whole way out, and they were busy the whole
fighting
time.
the whole way out, but I didn't feel like it was a fight.
But they were busy. I felt like they stayed.
They were busy, but it wasn't amounting to anything. And then in the opener flyweight, Magomed Bibulatov beat Jenna Lauza, the Filipino UFC debutant, UFC unanimous decision. There was a point deducted for a low blow on Bibulatov's part. But yeah, that was a fight where it never quite clicked. I think it was hard fought, and both guys got some good moves off. Bibulatov dominated because of his more well-rounded game, but it wasn't a barn burn or anything.
But Bibulatov definitely is someone to keep an eye on, and I'm real curious as where he's going to fall. How close to the top 15 is he? He's pretty good.
Yeah, but I mean, beating Lauza, a UFC debutant, I don't think establishes anything other than that he won a UFC fight. So we'll see where he goes from here. And obviously, a little bit of a cloud politically because of his close links to the really aberrant dictator of Chechnya, who's currently engaged in some borderline genocidal behavior against homosexuals there. So yeah, some ugliness there. But back to the main card, Daniel Cormier beats Anthony Johnson. Johnson retires in a shocker. I mean, so we'll never get to see Rumble Johnson versus John Jones.
The one fight I want to see. Like that is the one fight that I want to see.
Because those are two bad men.
I'm just hoping some billionaire flies in at the 11th hour and hosts this private fight between the two of them and invites
I'm afraid
me to come and
Lorenzo
watch.
took so many billions that he's not available for that role anymore. You think Lorenzo still calls the ring girls?
Oh, calls? No, he probably FaceTimes them or
Yeah,
Skypes them
yeah,
or something.
yeah. But I
2017.
mean, you think he's still slurking around?
Why not?
Yeah, that's true. And he's still a billionaire. He's got more billions than ever. So yeah, but Cormier wins, looking strong, although he's getting older. And honestly, that was not the best Cormier we've ever seen. That was really Johnson making some bad fight IQ decisions.
The worst fight IQ decisions, actually. And I've
Yeah,
never seen him fight like that. Like, I cannot ever remember Johnson coming out looking to wrestle,
he
especially
has.
against a wrestler.
Yeah, I mean, when he fought Vitor Belfort way back in the day, he wrestled him, and tried to wrestle him and got choked out. It's been a long time since he's done anything, and maybe his head was already looking past his fight. I mean, he had already decided to retire before he even went in there. So who knows? But yeah, it was some inexplicable shit. And speaking of inexplicable shit, the co-main event, Dan Miragliotta stopped it on what turned out to be legal blows, therefore declaring it a TKO win. But perhaps Musasi offered Weidman a rematch, so perhaps that's what we'll get. And I think you think so. You said earlier. I think you're right with Bisping, Yoel Romero, so many guys out there. Bisping GSP coming up, Yoel Romero floating around, Jacare floating around. I mean, Musasi might not even get re-signed, honestly. I mean, the way he was talking and
Oh, no way. Musasi is definitely getting re-signed.
you would hope so. You would hope so, but I mean, I'm not going to just rest easy and think that WME is going to pony up what they need to keep Musasi.
I think that division is so starved for people,
It's
especially
not
top
starved for
talent.
people, it's starved for stars.
Top
They've
talent.
got plenty of
Starved
badasses there that they don't necessarily want to be promoting. I mean, they got Yoel Romero, they got Jacare Souza, they got Luke Rockhold. Do they
But
need
those
to
are, but
Gegard
outside
Mousasi?
of the top five, there's nobody. There's no one like up and coming that you're like, oh, this guy, this guy. It's
Yeah,
real. You got Dan Kelly that's creeping
no,
in
and Tim
top
Boach
15.
and Sam Alvey's in the top 15. Yeah, Uriah Hall still circling around. I mean,
Anderson
Tallest
Silva's number
Leaches.
7. What the
Yeah,
fuck? Vitor's 10.
that's true, but that top 5 is bustling. So we'll see. That is a business decision to watch. If they don't re-sign Musasi, that tells you where WME is taking the UFC. And if they don't re-sign Musasi, that gives Bellator a big opening to become the sort of the people's fighting
And you know
promotion.
what? And there's history there with Coker and Musasi.
Oh yeah, Musasi would
So,
be very happy to go back to fighting for Coker. So I believe we've covered the event, and that's our show. Subscribe to MMANation.com on YouTube. Subscribe to MMA Nation on iTunes. Get the audio without the ugly. Follow us on Twitter at KidNate, at the Eddie Mercado. Read us at bloodyelbow.com. Do I need to plug anything else?
oh yeah, all next week's shows. If I did it,
Yeah,
the
Care Not Care preview,
vivisection.
because we got UFC on Fox coming up from Kansas City on April 15th. So do we have a week off? Yeah, we have a week off. No, we don't have a week off. That's
No,
next
no time
Saturday.
off.
Yep. So we got Demetrius Johnson versus Wilson Heist for the flyweight title, and we'll have all the MMA vivisection, all the fixings, heavy hands, the whole bit. So thank you very much, Eddie Mercado. Zane Simon will be back next week. So adios, MMA aficionados. We'll see you next time.